Hey sidekicks, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk a bit about superhero genre, specifically in comics. Well, in a wide general sense, why haven't been enjoying them that much lately, and not for the not general reasons for the whole comic continuity sort of stuff. I'm more talking about personal reasons. So you'll be happy to know though I did enjoy these series of stories I read in this book called Solo Avengers Stories. I think it was featuring Hawkeye as the main protagonist, and it featured kind of a lot of solo, just other Avengers and their own mini stories, and it's from the 60s, which might say a lot about what I think. But let's get on to the topic at hand. I think my biggest problem with superheroes is most of my exposure tends to be from more recent sources like films or on social media with everyone doing cosplay from it. I like the movies. I especially like the Dark Knight. I think it's a great film. I really like Batman Begins, although I have to watch it again to see if it holds up, but I think I remember really enjoying that one too. Dark Knight Rises, well, there was memes. I'll just say that. I'd say in a geographical sense that I live 20 minutes away from the nearest comic book shop, basically on the other side of town for me, and I guess it takes money and time to get down there just to browse the collection. And the one in the city is quite good. It's pretty big. Sometimes they overprice their books, and I don't really like that, especially their classic, the more classic DC books Hush, for example, Batman Hush, but can't really blame it for that. I'm sure it's the rent is pretty high in that area. I don't know. There's this other one too that's really it's much smaller, and you can kind of get the smell the cardboard as you enter the store, and they sell more. They kind of put more focus on the indie comic scene, but while selling all the mainstream stuff, the big two, alongside it, and I appreciate that. That's pretty cool. But those are kind of the only stores I've been to, and it's probably the only stores in my town, really. Can't think of anything else. The first store I went to was House of Heroes, and it was pretty much the second one, and that's where I used to get my copies of Ultimate Spider-Man. I really liked that comic. I read 27 volumes. Yeah, it was a good run. And I mention superheroes in the same context because that's what comic shops tend to ride on. The I guess it's their main selling point all of the time is superheroes. You might say it's a golden goose. I don't know what the proper business term is, but yeah. Not saying this to be bashing DC or Marvel or whatever, but my most exposure has been through their marketing and other people's cosplay. In my experience, for some that may be far from what the intended purpose of the original comics were, and sometimes I get a bit disinterested because sometimes I see it as superheroes as not someone's cosplay idea, and that's my hot take, so do with it what you will. Sometimes I think it's just somebody's gig or project, and that sometimes makes it look a bit trendy and a fad, and superheroes are pretty recognizable. They lend themselves to that, and I have no disrespect towards cosplayers. I think I think I have some favorites on Instagram or something, but overall what I'm saying is my exposure to superheroes has mainly been through other third-party sources rather than the actual like original stories written by great artists and done by written by great writers and drawn by great artists that feature lots of different characters with their own informed histories and shaped by their backstories and whatnot. And I think that's something I really have to keep in mind. Personally, I've had like few like sources of like income, and I've been a bit like just conservative with my choices of entertainment spending, and I think we're all like that where we need to budget properly, and I don't always do that with my choices of entertainment. Like I've heard the latest news with like all these new streaming apps, and it feels like they're slowly bringing back cable with the total cost of every streaming service that's coming out. It sort of rounds up to about like $99 a month, which is maybe it encourages healthy competition. Although I've heard shady things coming from like Disney and whatnot. I heard they ban ads for other streaming services, but that's just a whole another topic for another video, and I don't want to get into that right now. I think, on reflection, I think I should learn to appreciate like those stories a bit more. Pick ones out I would like, and not try to see it too much as a marketing gimmick. I realize there are some great like stories that I haven't picked up from like a local comic book shop, but I would like to still see them around, especially now that I have a bit of an indie release coming up, and I like to sell some copies there if I can. I think my title is pretty like all ages appropriate, so I don't think they'll have trouble like selling it to potential customers and whatnot. You will probably know by now, but I have a new comic coming out, and it's a part 1 of 3 issue miniseries, and it's a simple like adventure story that feels like a Saturday morning cartoon in a lot of ways. But enough tooting my own horn. I want to say thank you guys for watching. I hope you can discuss civilly my own opinions and all that. I think I'll call this video my super opinions. They're like opinions that rise above the level of subjectivity and personal experience into transcendental whatever. I don't know where I'm going with this. But also, before I go, I want to say, just to show I'm not deterred about what like new readers are going to think about it, I'm working on getting issue 2 ready. Most of the inking is actually done, and I just had to add the dialogue and format it correctly, and I think that's going well. And pretty soon I'll have all 3 issues out by next year. And I think that'll happen because I've already got an ending planned out, and that will be very good personal achievement of mine. So like, yeah, the reception won't matter as much. Just, I like to gauge readers, see what they think. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And once again, I'll see you guys next time. Cheers, and have a good day.